Welcome to today's recap. Don't forget to subscribe. The white cats and the black dogs are two groups that the students at the Dahlia Academy boarding school belong to. Romeo Inuzuka is in charge of the first-year black dogs, while Juliet Persia is in charge of the first-year white cats. Fights between the factions frequently turn violent. Despite being rivals since they were young, Inuzuka fell in love with Persia and has been secretly protecting her throughout each battle. Because Inuzuka never takes her seriously, Persia is enraged. Younger black dogs are bullied by older white cats, but Persia steps in to defend them. Inuzuka nearly confesses his love but decides to leave. Persia is abducted by 3 black dogs, who will abuse her. She is swiftly saved by Inuzuka, and the black dogs storm off in a fury. Persia flees while sobbing. Inuzuka beats the 3 black dogs when they attempt to attack him for stealing Persia from them. Inuzuka receives a summons from Persia to engage in combat. She cries when Inuzuka lies and says he saved her out of sympathy, and Inuzuka realizes she detests looking helpless. Inuzuka realizes that he had been unintentionally undermining her effort to improve the world. Inuzuka asks for assistance in changing the world as they continue to duel after finally confessing. In response, Persia pushes him into the fountain, but she also accepts to date him if he works to improve society and keeps their relationship a secret. Hasuki Komai, his second-in-command, interrupts Inuzuka as he tries to smuggle Persia away, so they have to pretend to be at war. As a sign of love, Inuzuka tries to give Persia a rosary, but Scott Hold, Persia's second-in-command, intercepts him and pushes him off a building. When he awakens, Hasuki tells him that Persia is being attacked by the dogs. He accidentally breaks the rosary while searching for Persia and defeats the cats and dogs using a statue. He is made to pull weeds around the school's lake as punishment. In exchange, Persia offers him her own rosary and accepts the broken one. As her rosary holds sentimental value, Inuzuka tries to refuse, upsetting Persia to the point where she throws him into the lake. Hasuki suspects Inuzuka is homosexual after she asks Persia out while pretending to be a male black dog. Inuzuka claims that she is Julio, his cousin, because so many black dogs attempt to be her friend. Despite the disguise, a white cat with silver hair recognizes Persia. Persia is scared into fleeing when Inuzuka takes her to a haunted house. Chizuru Maru, one of the black dogs who attempted to molest Persia, pushes Inuzuka into the water. In a fight, Persia defeats Maru and saves Inuzuka. Although Scott again interrupts them and they resume their fake fight, Inuzuka is pleased that Persia thinks their date was successful because they learned more about one another. The white cat with the silver hair realizes that Inuzuka and Persia are dating. On the occasion of their 1-month anniversary, Inuzuka asks Persia out. After an absence of a year, White Cat Princess Char, the tyrant princess of the West, is back. When she reveals she has photos proving Inuzuka is dating Persia and blackmails him into becoming her servant, he almost hits her after she provokes him. Knowing that Persia will lose her position as leader of the cats if their relationship is made public, Inuzuka consents. Maru has plans to make Inuzuka pay for his treachery. Persia grows envious of Inuzuka's time spent with Char. While refusing to tell Persia about the blackmail, Inuzuka reassures her that he is protecting her. Inuzuka is reminded of their anniversary date by Persia, who is unaccustomed to seeing him in such a depressed state. Inuzuka grows adamant about defeating Char. Maru's gang kicks Inuzuka out of the black dog's dorm. Char, who shares a room with Persia, is revealed by Inuzuka to be a childhood friend of Persia's. Behind a mirror, Inuzuka discovers Char's Persia collection, indicating that Char is in love with Persia. When Persia unexpectedly enters the room, Char is desperately trying to hide her emotions from her. Until Persia departs, Inuzuka hides himself, the photos, and the mirror. As Inuzuka now has evidence to use against Char, they agree to an iffy truce. As Persia wears his repaired broken rosary, Inuzuka rushes to their date and notices it. The dogs start a 72-hour study session with Persia, who is posing as Julio, as the midterm exams draw near. After Julio defeated him to save Inuzuka, Maru discovered she had a crush on Julio, unaware that Julio was Persia in disguise. Hasuki, who has the best grades, is in charge of the class. Hasuki, who suspects Inuzuka of keeping secrets, discovers them when they help Persia smuggle out. Char alerts him to Hasuki's danger. Hasuki is his best friend, according to Inuzuka, and she would keep his secret if she found out. Hasuki responds that Inuzuka helped her make friends when Maru inquires as to why she enjoys Inuzuka. Inuzuka overhears and admits her love for him. He admits he is dating Persia after realizing he can't lie to her. Hasuki overreacts, tries to coerce him into killing himself, and when he flees, tries to behead him. Following them into the woods, Hasuki nearly kills Persia but is stopped by Char, who acknowledges that she was aware that Persia was seeing Inuzuka. Because he can't even be honest with his best friend, Inuzuka feels worthless. He is still as strong as the day he confessed to Persia, she assures him. Hasuki is allowed to attack him by Inuzuka, who says that he will always be her friend and that the only reason she survived was because her sword was a replica. Inuzuka jumps after Persia when she plunges into the river. Hasuki saves Inuzuka, who is unable to swim, while Char saves Persia. Hasuki asserts that she still despises him but ultimately decides that they should remain friends. However, she threatens to behead him if he flirts with Persia in front of her. Unaware that Persia is a terrible cook, Inuzuka asks her to prepare a bento. Scott receives it by accident after Char, who has never tried Persia's cooking, steals it because he thinks Persia made the bento for him. Scott is defeated by Inuzuka, but the bento is lost and eaten by pigs. Scott is dragged away by Char for more torture. Persia acknowledges that the bento was actually made by a kitchen maid. She is reassured by Inuzuka that she is not required to act flawlessly when they are alone. Persia promises to create the ideal bento someday. Scott, her latest victim, gives Char some amusement. Maru cautions Inuzuka to leave the sporting event because the dogs once lost to the cats because of an error Inuzuka made in the 100-meter race. Hasuki decides to compete for MVP and dance with Inuzuka after hearing a rumor that anyone who dances with the festival MVP will become their lover. Scott wants to dance with Persia and be named MVP. Somali long-haired, a white cat with superhuman strength, stops Inuzuka from hitting him. Persia receives a request from her friend and crush, Abyssinia, to date him if he wins MVP. This starts a fight that Persia breaks up. In reality, Persia was helping Inuzuka recover from his loss in the previous festival when she asked him for assistance with practicing for the three-legged race so she could win MVP and become more well-liked. They agree that if one of them is named MVP, the loser will have to follow one of the winner's instructions. Inuzuka gains tremendous motivation and returns to the 100-meter race. Inuzuka makes the decision to command Persia to address him by his given name, Romeo. Through widespread cheating, the dogs and cats score an equal number of points during the first half of the festival. Persia reveals to Inuzuka that her mother is present in the audience, surprising him by expressing a desire for them to one day meet. On Abyss orders, Somali hurts Persia, and during their subsequent race against Hasuki, Persia trips due to the injury. Persia is accused of being a weak girl by Abai and his allies. Persia is made fun of by the audience as she is compelled to leave for treatment. As a result of his failure to assist Persia when she most needed him and Char's revelation that Abai was attempting to usurp Persia's position as leader of the cats, Inuzuka has decided to kill Abai in the final battle, the cavalry battle. Abai's drugging of the majority of the dogs causes the dogs to start losing. When Persia shows up as Julio and inspires Maru, she agrees to help out as Inuzuka's horse for the competition. With the exception of Abai and Somali, all white cats are then eliminated. Abai is called out by Inuzuka for his shady methods. Somali attacks Maru, but Inuzuka stops him after discovering evidence that Persia was hurt by Somali's spiked shoes. As a result, Inuzuka throws Abai into the crowd, defeating Somali. Inuzuka demands Persia fight as well or he will never be able to claim to have defeated all of the white cats before the referee declares the dogs the winners. Persia goes back to battle Inuzuka because she is relieved that he treats her equally. The crowd starts to boo Persia once more as she competes against Inuzuka for supremacy. Inuzuka nearly grabs Persia's ribbon but instead grabs her breast, bleeding from the nose and going down. Persia receives MVP honors, and the cats are crowned champions. Hasuki succeeds Inuzuka as the dog's leader. Later on at the celebration, Persia slips away and approaches Inuzuka to dance. The student council decides to keep an eye on Inuzuka after discussing the issues brought up during the festival a month later. The stress of losing his job causes Inuzuka, who hasn't seen Persia in a month, to get a fever, so Persia sneaks in to see him while posing as Julio. Maru stops her and starts interrogating her awkwardly. She flees but stumbles into the women's bathrooms, where she is perceived as a pervert. She returns to Inuzuka's room to change her wet clothes, but when one of Maru's troublemakers, Igo Kohitsuji, comes looking for a pornographic magazine he left in Inuzuka's room, Persia hides in his bed while still partially clothed, worsening his fever. Persia later admits that she had no idea he had a fever when she first arrived, and that the real reason she sneaked in was because she missed him just as much as he did. Eventually, he recovers. Twin Black Dog prefects Kocho and Tiria are in charge of discipline as the Harvest Festival draws near. Persia accepts Inuzuka's invitation, but she declines to dress as Julio out of fear that Maru will see her. When Inuzuka encounters Kocho and Tiria, they admit they nearly overheard him speaking to Persia. Persia's rosary is discovered after they search Inuzuka's room. They come to the conclusion that the rosary has a hidden meaning and resolve to discover it. Persia and Inuzuka meet up at the festival but are compelled to hide from the twins. After seeing the twins control two aggressive students, Inuzuka challenges them to defeat him in the festival games. When he realizes the twins want to go to the festival but have no friends to go with, he concedes defeat and promises they can challenge him again whenever they want. They gladly consent to take him on once more. Persia is happy that she got to see Inuzuka's gentler side while he was playing with the twins, even though he rushes back but is too late to watch the fireworks with her. The twins are concerned about the potential trouble Inuzuka could cause if he won the upcoming prefect election. It is revealed that Inuzuka's older brother, Ero Inuzuka, holds a prominent position on the student council. For her birthday, Persia requests a favor from Char. Inuzuka connives the twins into granting him permission to go shopping in order to purchase a gift for Persia. He runs into Char, but a policeman tells them that radicals from Tuwa, where Inuzuka is from, are nearby and demands that Char go back to school. Char then compels Inuzuka to act as her bodyguard. Inuzuka's brother Eru overhears the twins talking about Inuzuka's rosary. Inuzuka is reprimanded by Char after she tries to trick him into breaking up with Persia. The only other person Char can think of who ever reprimanded her was Persia. Radicals approach her and believe that Inuzuka, a fellow Tuwan, will assist them. However, he actually saves Char because Persia would be upset if Char were hurt. Char acknowledges that she was envious because Persia had asked Char to assist her in spending her birthday with Inuzuka. Persia requests matching couples accessories when Inuzuka asks her what kind of gift she would like. Char, who thinks Persia and Inuzuka will eventually break up and worries about what to do when it does, torments Scott in an effort to lift her spirits. When Inuzuka enters his room again, he discovers Hasuki, the twins, and his brother. With the rosary in hand, Eru confronts Inuzuka and threatens to expel and then disinherit him if he makes contact with a white cat girl. After that, he personally oversees Inuzuka for a week. The twins learn from Inuzuka that Eru used to hit him when they were younger. Persia finally bakes Inuzuka the perfect cookies, but she worries about him because he is always with his brother and seems more depressed than ever. Inuzuka is brutally beaten by Eru after being made to resume his kendo practice. Hasuki learns from Inuzuka that he tricked Eru into letting down his guard so that he could see Persia on her birthday. Hasuki is confronted by Persia, who wants to know what's wrong with Inuzuka. Eru spots Inuzuka skulking outside and stops him. He tries to challenge him, but when he does, he knocks him out and locks him in a shed. However, Inuzuka had convinced the twins to defy Eru by opening the shed after Eru left because he knew Eru would lock him in a shed. Inuzuka flies over to Persia but passes out from his wounds. Nevertheless, Persia arrives in time and catches him. She apologizes to him in a tearful manner for everything that has occurred as a result of their relationship. Inuzuka's annual custom of interrupting Persia's birthday party and throwing cream pie in her face has the cats on high alert for him. Inuzuka starts to avoid Persia so he won't get hurt again, which makes him depressed. Persia explains to Char everything that occurred and why she is unable to approach Inuzuka. Char gives the cookies that Persia baked to Inuzuka. After tasting them, Inuzuka decides to continue his tradition for Persia's birthday because he can taste the effort Persia put into making them. Persia seeks advice from the student council's white cat members. But Inuzuka and the black dogs barge into the party with pies before she can ask. Somali and Abai catch Inuzuka. Inuzuka escapes and is assisted in avoiding capture by White Cat Kate Sith before Abai can exact her vengeance. He decides to assist Inuzuka in keeping things interesting at the school and admits to having placed Persia in the fourth-floor storeroom. Once his status as a prefect is known, they are apprehended by Student Council Secretary Anne Sieber. Kate Sith informs Inuzuka that it is now his responsibility to prevent him from traveling to Persia. Persia, meanwhile, makes an attempt to leave by scaling the fourth-floor window. After realizing Persia was on the balcony, Inuzuka leaps out the window, and she catches him. Finally, Inuzuka wishes Persia a happy birthday, and she confesses her love for him. When Eru arrives, he and Persia pie each other in the face and declare their fight a draw before he can find Inuzuka. However, Eru publicly accuses Inuzuka of being their lover while presenting him with Persia's rosary and other proof. Quickly accusing Inuzuka of making a fool of herself, Persia challenges him to a real sword duel. Inuzuka and Persia decide that in order for Eru to believe them, they must inflict bodily harm on one another, so they decide to stab one another in the chest. They actually destroyed each other's rosaries by stabbing them in, it is later discovered. Inuzuka gives Persia matching rings in secret after convincing the school that they are rivals and promising that, before changing the world, he will first change the school by becoming a prefect. School operations resume as usual. Inuzuka's first step toward becoming a prefect is to become a student council errand boy, and Eru accepts him despite her continued suspicion. Persia and Inuzuka decide to call each other by their first names, Romeo and Juliet, when they are no longer afraid of anything on their subsequent covert date, while wearing their matching rings.